them teachers' days off and spring break and Christmas break.
Keeping all the Cuban Air Force out of South Florida, that was my job.
Where'd you go to school at?
Homestead Air Force Base.
I went to school in Maryland.
Maryland?
Baltimore.
Mary Leathos. That was like 72. That was the second Buffalo coming in.
Is that like Tent City and all that, is that
Really?
Tent City, is that when they had the stuff there at home, is it
Homestead, yeah,
Yeah.
Homestead's gone now. Andrew blew it away. I've been back, I found the foundation for my house and the base hospital where my son was born. That's all I could find.
Really?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, I was born on Craig Air Force Base in Selma, Alabama, just an industrial park.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I sent you a message about coffee.
Oh, no, I wasn't there. Sorry. That's why my phone was turned off, because I was in depot, so.
He will
He
not
won't
be
be
here,
here
we did
tonight.
get message that he's not in state.
Yeah, I think he had to go out to Texas for some business or something. You good?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and call the Destin
Hold
Fire.
on, sorry.
We're gonna go ahead and call the Destin Fire Control District, special meeting to order, budget workshop here at the airport road location, September 7th, 2016, at 5:30 p.m. First item on the agenda are public comments. Yes, sir.
John Harvey, 4327 Reserve Place, Destin. I was just wondering if maybe we could wait to the end for any kind of questions, because we may, Ms. Wagner may answer some of them as we go along. We may have some at the end. I mean, or if we can ask them as we go along.
Yeah. I have no problem.
Okay, I mean, it's,
Anybody got? No?
Good.
Okay. Anything else? All right, moving along, we've got a proposed, discussion of proposed budget for the 2016-2017 fiscal year.
Okay, before you is the second preliminary budget. We've worked through this one time, this is our second review of it, and there have been some substantial changes to it. The first of which is ad valorem tax revenue. We have put the millage rate back to 1.0 for two specific reasons. The first reason was a discussion which the commission had at the last time we reviewed the budget. And the second is some of the other changes that were made in the budget made it necessary to utilize the remainder of the ad valorem taxes. So the ad valorem tax revenue has increased, and so have the corresponding related costs, such as the discounts of 3.5%, the uncollected tax, and the tax collector fee. They're all adjusted by percentage. The second item and last item to mention as far as annual revenue is the beach safety revenue for sale of assets. This number was previously $12,500. It's been reduced to $10,000. Simply another review of our beach safety budget. We're looking to sell 4 assets this year instead of 5, so we've adjusted that category accordingly. Moving on to expenditures, the majority of the changes will be found under personnel services. The first item, which is titled Insurance Benefits, this item has been increased by approximately $85,000 from our prior budget. The reason for this is during our first preliminary budget, we had adjusted the insurance benefits to reflect what the collective bargaining agreement stated the insurance benefits would be. The problem that we see with that is looking forward, we're pretty confident that there is going to be a change to the insurance. However, it must be done through negotiations. It's not something we can specifically talk about the insurance plan here because it's a negotiated item. But knowing that the plan has changed substantially for the employees, however it works out, we do foresee a change to that policy. So we looked at some alternative policies, since we are coming upon our annual renewal on October 1st. We work with our broker like we do every year, and we look at alternative plans. So we picked one that wasn't the best of the best, and it wasn't the poorest of the poor. We kind of found one in the middle to maybe help us set our budget. So that number is now $631,000, which we're budgeting for. The next item to mention will be insurance paramedic, which is just below that item. Currently, we had that budget reduced to almost nothing. However, that article was not changed in the collective bargaining agreement. It does need to remain the same. The district is to fund paramedic insurance for any current paramedics. The next item, insurance workers' compensation. We did receive the final rates, and I think it was a very minimal adjustment. My apologies here, make sure I'm on the right line. Oh, no, they confirmed, I was trying to work with them to try to get them to lower the rates, and they came back and told us that they couldn't do it. So I'm mentioning that because we do have our final rates, but it's not changed as far as what was previously presented. The next item, and the largest item, will be the retirement contribution 175, and the item below it, which is state portion. These are the two categories which the district is responsible for paying, less whatever we receive from the state. So the actuary for the Board of Trustees determines a funding percentage which we apply to our pensionable payroll. Since we had a change to our collective bargaining a pension article agreement, we reached out to the actuary and we had a special study done to determine the effect of that change. The problem that we have is a new state law went into effect that determines the state funding portion. So we're waiting to verify with the state actuary how it's going to affect the monies in which we receive. So at this point, what you have is Jason Franken from Foster & Foster, the actuary. His study put together a worst-case scenario in which we would receive less state funding, and the district would be responsible for picking up the cost. So our report has been adjusted to those numbers, and you can see that compared to our budget last year, those two items combined kind of net each other. So I think there's a $1,000 savings compared to our budget in our current fiscal year. And that is with the addition of 5 new employees also. So really there is a saving. We're adding 5 employees, proposing to add 5 employees to the plan. And again, this would be a worst case scenario.
Well, we have the numbers for real instead of just guessing at it.
We're trying. We've been, Jason Franken has been working with the state actuary to get the determination of how the new law will be applied to our case. I'm hoping by next week, by our tentative meeting.
Okay.
But understand, we did take the worst case scenario, so we will be prepared, and hopefully it will go the other way, and not where it's at, so.
Can we ask a question since we're on that?
Can you hold it till we get?
Okay, I'll just mark it.
I'll let you finish your insurance. I had a question on wages when you're ready for it.
You can go ahead because that's actually, well, let me address the wage category because that is the next category. Wages and associated expenses for payroll, taxes, and workers' comp have been adjusted to add a part-time office personnel that the commission decided at the last meeting. So that's all I have. So if you have a question on top of that.
I'm kind of waiting to see where you made the comment that we basically have a different net operating balance, because, I mean, you made the comment earlier, there's some other expenses apparently I'm looking for. Just first observation is our revenue goes up $205,000, and our wages, just in ordinary wages, the holiday and the duty overtime, net of mandatory overtime, is up $233,000. So our wage increase is far more than our revenue increase before we get to anything else. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Is it, how much of the wage increase is driven by 5.5 additional FTEs
That,
versus the existing people wage increase?
well, we have no wage increase built in for current staff. The increase in wages is due to 2 additional employees, which the district intends to hire, 3 additional employees for the SAFER grant. The 2 of those combined total $115,000. And then there's office personnel, another $15,000, so that's taken us up to 125. 125 is from 5.5 employees.
So what we have, Catherine, did you say there's no wage increase for existing employees?
That's correct. Because there's no room. Now, with that said, if we go back to the first budget workshop, not knowing what that pension number is going to be yet, we don't have a firm pension number for that. That gives room within the budget once all information is determined.
I thought we concluded at our impasse meeting that we would do a 4% increase for existing.
That's for our current year, that's built into our current year. This is for the
Okay, so
16-17 year that already takes into the account, but it's a 3%.
Gotcha, okay,
That
gotcha.
goes
So
retroactive.
I'm good, I got it, thank you.
The only other item under personnel services is uniforms duty. That's been adjusted to the collective bargaining agreement. It's basically keeping the budget the same as it currently is this year, as we have no savings for that category. The next page, page 2, there's absolutely no changes to any item on this page whatsoever. There's been no adjustments made. Page 3.
Cable went up almost double.
Yes, that was mentioned at the last meeting, and that is to provide service to all of the bunk rooms here at Station 10 and Station 9. Page 3 has capital outlay. One adjustment was made to this category, and it's under building improvements. We were able to firm up an estimate for the exhaust system, and unfortunately it's going to cost an additional $21,000 more than what we had anticipated. We thought we could keep the cost around $25,000, but it's substantially more than that. So that's been reflected. That's the only change to capital outlay. The beach safety budget has been adjusted to account for additional funding in which the county has agreed to provide, as well as a change in the contract terms for the city, which Division Chief D'Agostino has been working on. So we've gone through and reviewed his budget, all items, and it is a self-contained program. The revenues from the city, the county, and the sale of beach safety assets offset the expenditures. So the adjustments that have been made result in using all of the ad valorem taxes, as well as using $7,725 of unassigned funds. That's needed to break even.
With no pay down at all of our pension liability.
As of right now, correct, because we're assuming the worst case scenario.
And what we would hope, and of course, absolutely the board's call, is that whatever the ash rate comes back with, and if it's what we anticipate to move off of that number, then of course we would request of the board to utilize that funding to go back into the plan, offset that, chip away at that deficit.
There's a big
changed from last time? Because last time we were debating whether to keep the millage rate at 1.0 or not.
Yes.
And now we're 1.0 and that doesn't cover our cost.
Unfortunately, it is. We weren't too thrilled seeing that worst case scenario from the actuary, but it's what we have at this point, so we feel it's what needs to be presented. We are optimistic that it's not going to be that, that we'll be able to utilize more of the state funds. But at this point, until we finish figuring out with the state actuary what we can and can't do.
And that affects all special districts, right?
Correct.
It ain't just us.
No, it's new new statute that went into effect, as of October 1st, 2015. However, if you were in negotiations, you kind of, had some time to work through the issue. So we're okay for, hopefully, we have filed our annual report, with the state to receive current year taxes. Hopefully we'll be receiving those in the next 3 weeks. Otherwise, the district's gonna be faced with something, but that's not the upcoming budget, so.
Chief, could you describe, please, the additional headcount net of the half admin person, the 5 people?
We asked a question, I'm sorry, sir.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if I understood correctly, we're adding back 5 professional firefighters?
Yes, sir.
And what's the thinking? I mean,
Okay.
who, where,
Got
what
it.
per shift, what is it?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I know where you're going now. I didn't get it the first time. We anticipate, and the plan would be that when we're able to add back those 5, that we're able to staff up the ladder truck back where we used to before. Now it's up and down. Most of the time it's down, unstaffed, crossman. With the addition of the staffing, that truck should stay manned all the time, so it should be available every day. That in concert, and that's still allowing for, as the CBA says, 2 personnel to be off duty. So that's kind of putting us back very close to where we were several years ago. And that's kind of was the goal, is to get us at least to that point, and then we'll continue to look to the future and where things go, whether we can attain the NFPA requirements. I say requirements, this NFPA standard, because it's not a requirement, meaning that it's not the difference between the standard and a requirement. Standard is something we'll be held to in the court of law if something were to happen, but a requirement means we have to do it. But the NFPA standard of 15 on a fire scene, and us being able to do that within our department. And that's a goal that I'm trying to obtain, but we're on our way now with getting back to the staffing level that we once were. And then we can see about moving forward, depending on what the market does and those kind of things.
Well, I just gotta say, I'm a bit troubled by the fact that we go back to not covering our operating expenditures with our operating revenue. I mean, we fought hard to get there and went through hell and high water to make that happen. It's tough, it's hard on everybody. And now when we've got expanding revenue, and what the numbers tell me is that are we kind of clawing our way back too rapidly?
I think we can, with the difference of being $7,000, I think we can make that adjustment, and be able to get it to the equal balance without hope. Catherine and I discussed that just a little before the meeting, but we wanted to show you where the budget would be, and we can make those adjustments prior to that. I went before the county commission last night, as there was a difference in how they were going to fund their safety program and ours. So I went last night, asked for them to please consider funding us at the same level this year. And they, all of them agreed to do so. They changed their budget to reflect that. And so that should be approximately $36,000 to $37,000 difference in where we were initially 550. So we're looking to go up to 586 or 87. Now, for that funding, we incorporated into the beach safety budget to cover additional costs in that with staffing and those kind of things. What we can do is utilize part of that funding to pay for part of the patrol of Crab Island and work within that budget some. And how that would alleviate is the money that we're pulling from our budget I say our budget, our ad valorem tax dollars to pay for that, which is what we want in the first place. But anyway, we can make some adjustments there, I think, to cover, maybe not all our costs, part of our cost should get us down easily below that 7,000.
Well, originally, we had the fire, you're talking about the boat, right? Fire boat?
Yes, sir.
Which was a response apparatus?
Yes, sir.
Not a patrol apparatus?
Yes, sir.
So that's the distinction you're making. While we're patrolling, we're beach safety. While we're responding, we're fire rescue. That's a nice way to cut it.
Well, I kind of put it in the beach safety aspect, but I really look at it as it's, I would really like to see the TDD paying for all of it, the lifeguards as well as the patrol of Crab Island and the ones that, the guard we have at the East Jetty. I pushed for that, made presentations to that fact, and will continue to do so. And I think that the patrol that we have out of Crab Island should be more than what it is now. It's just a matter of the funding. I feel that what we're doing now is a minimum amount that can be done there to provide the minimum amount of safety during the busier times on the weekends. That's what we're doing now. Although there are people there during the summer, Monday through Thursday, and we're not covering those days. And things happen during those periods of time. So,
Chief,
yes.
That's an excellent way to look at it, and I agree with your thinking. That's exactly what got us in this place. That's how we got into advanced life support. That's how we got into everything. Taxpayers are saying, no, I don't want you to do that. I wish we could patrol 7 days a week during the 100 days of summer on Crab Island. But we can't. Nobody wants to pay for that.
That's correct.
And I don't think we ought to be paying for that by dipping into on the fire side of the business and either, not doing what we should do or, just trying to save some money there to pay for the spending more on beach safety than the TDC and the city is willing to do. And I'm like you, I'm sensitive. If, somebody dies on Noriega Point, it's city of Destin, okay? We know it's not, but it is. But we can't fix that problem.
Right.
Well, there's probably gonna be some changes made in the TDC funding, or TDD,
Right.
that they, I'll let Chief explain, he's explained it to me, but he's better at that.
Well, last night, as part of the presentation that I made with them, I discussed the inadequacies of the way the funds are divided. And I believe all of them understood. It was the one time that I was able to get in front of the full county commission and not necessarily the TDD. Once I made my request, Commissioner Bowles asked about the matrix and how the funding is divided and based upon what factors and those things. And I was able to provide him with our thoughts. And after they made the motion to equalize the funding, he came back and made a second motion for staff to come back with something substantial that they can base that funding upon. So I am optimistic that being that we've looked at this numerous ways, 5 or 6 different ways on how it could be divided and what you could base it upon. And every conclusion we've come to, and maybe there's one out there that we didn't find, but every conclusion we've come to, it would make a significant difference in the funding that we receive. Regardless of
The idea of the miles we cover, the number of people that we service.
Where the bed tax comes from, and the percentage breakdown of it, it doesn't matter how you kind of look at it. That's the way it is. And I mentioned that to them last night, that, you know, I mean, it sounds nice, you have two agencies, you're giving them both the same amount of money, and that sounds equal. And then, you know, I went into 3 miles and 6 miles, and 1 million and 2.5 million. You know, it's not the same, and they got that, which is great that I was able to get in front of the commission and give that, as compared to the TDD, because it didn't seem like I never got anywhere with them when I made those pitches.
That's where Commissioner Bowles, I think, came up with one matrix.
Yes, sir. After,
Where, okay, you show us why you did it.
Rational way to do it, yeah.
Oakley's item want that much, and then Destin this much.
So anything like that's gotta be to our benefit, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely.
so I'm hoping that, in the future, it won't be this year, obviously, but next year's budgeting cycle, that there will be some improvements in that area. And as far as this year, I agree. We can look at making those changes, and I can work with Joe and Catherine, and we can work together, and we can see about making that happen, which will then obviously provide the relief for looking into the 7, probably plus a little, because being able to cover that crab island patrol is, you know, $37,000 to $45,000 to be able to cover the weekends during the summer. And the increase that we were able to get last time was 37.
I feel like it.
That sounds like a good step forward. You
Yeah.
guys been pushing that string for a long time.
I agree. I just hope we come back with some stuff. It's hard for us to do this with not having a fixed insurance money. We don't even know what our insurance is gonna cost. And then you get in another one in there, another segue with, well, the state hasn't gave us their numbers and their actuaries working. So it's kind of hard to do a budget when you're doing it on presumption. And, but we're gonna do the best we can, we always have, so, I feel that.
It does feel like we got a ways to go before we get to a final budget.
Yeah.
We're waiting on the state.
That's what I mean.
The rest of it, the rest of it is done. We can work on the beach safety. We do have, our tentative meeting is next Tuesday, following our board commissioners meeting, and that's where the budget has to be set. You can still adjust what's presented to you, but at that point, I mean, you don't have to. You could hold a second tentative meeting if we can't make it work next week. But that is the next step from here.
So Chief, with the SAFER grant, how many we're looking for? 3?
I would, yes, 3.
And if we don't, what's that number? 2?
2.
We'll get it
That's right.
at our cost.
Right. Last year, we had the funding enough to add 1, which was good. We were able to float that 1 around and
Right.
cover shortages, not short-term, but long-term deficits, when somebody would be off with surgery or something like that, make the shift whole, that kind of thing. We were able to work, so it worked well. Knowing, with the anticipation that we would be adding the 2 additional this coming year if everything went as we had hoped. And it has, as far as the funding, we had an increase in the home taxes, so we were able to do those. So those 2, yes, to make it, all the shifts level, and then add the 3 from the SAFER.
And then when are we putting that SAFER grant in?
Just as soon as it opens where we can. It's not open yet for that. But
When will
as
that
soon
be?
as- Well, it was whenever they announce and allow us to do that. I mean, they
Usually
said
it's in November, isn't it?
it was what we anticipate. Because it came out with the AFG and the SAFER, they're saying November.